Hi team, welcome to our annual FERPA review. We're going to start with an overview of FERPA. We're going to then talk about parent rights and some things that are specific to our program, and then we'll end with record storage and destruction. FERPA stands for the Federal Education Rights and Privacy Act, and it applies to our program, Tark Tiny K, because we receive federal funds. We all have a responsibility for both understanding and enforcing FERPA in our program. The rights include reviewing the educational records, the right to amend records, and the right to decide and control how personally identifiable information is disclosed. Personally identifiable information, or PII, includes direct identifiers like someone's name or social security number, and indirect identifiers, which is when information is presented that a reasonable person in the community would be able to use to identify the student. We take FERPA very seriously, and for the most part, the only reason we would disclose any personally identifiable information is if we have this release of information filled out by the parent. There are a few situations where consent is not needed. The first two don't apply directly to our program. However, in the case of a subpoena or an emergency, we can disclose information. Whenever possible, we prefer you run this by an administrator before making that decision. When considering how FERPA applies to our program, there are a few caution areas that I want to go over today. With the exception of a subpoena or in the case of an emergency, we do not disclose information to law enforcement. We do not employ officers, and we do not have a memorandum of agreement that allows us to do so without parental consent. Technology is another area where we can be particularly vulnerable, and we want to pay extra attention and make sure that we're within the child's FERPA rights. All of our typical technology practices support FERPA, in that we use passwords, we don't share them, we lock our screens. One thing that you do need to make sure is that your emails are sent with encryption software, and that you don't install any apps without discussing it with the admin team. All video footage is part of the child's record, and although it's rare that we have families at TARC, because we have a video surveillance system, it's possible that footage captured on those cameras could additionally be a part of the child's record. Please consult your admin if this ever becomes an issue. When we think of record destruction, we need to consider both paper and digital files. We must keep records for 6 years. Now, that's not FERPA. That's because we also fall under HIPAA because we bill Medicaid. The admin and IT departments are in charge of document destruction and will ensure the proper procedures. We know that most of our FERPA violations would be unintentional because we have a strong sense of ethics in this department. However, whether they're unintentional or intentional, we still want you to report them to us so we can do a proper investigation and make sure parents are notified and understand their rights. For additional information, here are some references that I used to put this presentation together, both on this page and the next slide.